The story of Seleucus the Philopator is a gripping tale of ambition, power, and ultimately tragedy. He was a king of the Seleucid Empire, a vast kingdom forged from the fragments of Alexander the Great's empire. His name, Seleucus, echoed those of his ancestors, mighty rulers who had once controlled land stretching from the Aegean Sea to the borders of India. Seleucus IV's reign, though relatively short, was a time of great change and upheaval. He inherited an empire in decline, beset by internal strife and external threats. His attempts to restore the fortunes of the Seleucid dynasty were met with mixed success, and his life was cut short under mysterious circumstances. Let's step back in time and explore the life and times of Seleucus IV Philopator, a king who ruled over a world on the brink of transformation. Seleucus IV was born into a world of immense wealth and power. He entered the world in the heart of the Seleucid Empire, a vast realm stretching across the eastern Mediterranean. The year was around 218 BC, and the Seleucid dynasty, founded by his ancestor Seleucus I Nicator, was at the height of its power. His father, Antiochus III the Great, was a formidable ruler, known for his military prowess and ambition. Antiochus III dreamt of restoring the Seleucid Empire to its former glory, and he instilled in his son a sense of destiny and a duty to their dynasty. From a young age, Seleucus IV would have been surrounded by the trappings of royalty. He likely received an education befitting a future king, tutored in philosophy, rhetoric, and the art of war. Life in the Seleucid court would have been a whirlwind of political intrigue and lavish ceremonies. As a prince, Seleucus IV would have witnessed firsthand the challenges and complexities of ruling a vast and diverse empire. Little did he know that he would one day inherit the weight of this legacy. As Seleucus IV grew older, he likely participated in the affairs of state, accompanying his father on military campaigns and observing the intricacies of diplomacy. This hands-on experience would have been crucial in preparing him for the day he would ascend to the throne. One significant event that shaped Seleucus IV's early life was the war between the Seleucid Empire and the Roman Republic. This conflict, known as the Roman-Seleucid War, erupted in 192 BC. The Romans, a rising power in the west, were beginning to challenge Seleucid dominance in the eastern Mediterranean. Although the Seleucids initially achieved some victories, the war ultimately ended in a disastrous defeat at the Battle of Magnesia in 190 BC. This defeat had a profound impact on the Seleucid Empire, weakening its power and prestige. For Seleucus IV, witnessing the humiliation of his father and the decline of his empire would have been a sobering experience. It likely instilled in him a sense of caution and a desire to avoid further conflict with the Romans. This experience would shape his foreign policy when he eventually became king. In 187 BC, the reign of Antiochus III came to a sudden end. He died while on a campaign in Persia. This left a power vacuum in the Seleucid Empire, and Seleucus IV, now in his late 20s or early 30s, ascended to the throne. He inherited an empire still reeling from its defeat at the hands of the Romans and facing numerous internal challenges. The once mighty Seleucid realm was now a shadow of its former self. Territories had been lost, the treasury was depleted, and there was growing unrest among the empire's diverse population. Seleucus IV faced the daunting task of restoring stability and prosperity to his troubled kingdom. He took the throne as Seleucus IV Philopator, the title Philopator meaning loving his father. This title may have been a way for him to honor his father's legacy and to present himself as a worthy successor. However, it also carried the burden of expectation. Seleucus IV's reign began in a period of instability and uncertainty. The new king had to act quickly and decisively to address the challenges facing his empire. His ability to navigate these troubled waters would determine the fate of the Seleucid dynasty. Seleucus IV inherited a kingdom surrounded by enemies and rivals. To the west, the Roman Republic, although not directly threatening the Seleucid Empire, loomed large as a potential adversary. The memory of their defeat at Magnesia still lingered, a constant reminder of Roman strength. In the east, the Parthians, a nomadic people who had broken away from Seleucid control, were expanding their territory. They posed a serious threat to the eastern provinces of the empire, and Seleucus IV had to devote considerable resources to containing their advances. Adding to his woes, the provinces of Asia Minor, once the heartland of the Seleucid Empire, were becoming increasingly independent. Local rulers, sensing weakness at the center, asserted their autonomy, challenging the authority of the Seleucid king. Seleucus IV's reign was marked by a constant struggle to maintain the territorial integrity of his empire. He faced rebellions, invasions, and the ever-present threat of Roman intervention. His ability to juggle these external threats, while also addressing internal problems, would test his skills as a ruler. The constant wars and internal conflicts took a heavy toll on the Seleucid treasury. The empire's finances were in disarray, a legacy of his father's ambitious military campaigns and the heavy war indemnities imposed by the Romans after Magnesia. To make matters worse, the Seleucid kings had resorted to debasing their currency to finance their expenses, leading to inflation and economic instability. This financial crisis cast a long shadow over Seleucus IV's reign, limiting his options and making it difficult to implement his policies. One of the most pressing issues facing Seleucus IV was the annual tribute of 1,000 talents of silver that the Seleucid Empire was obligated to pay to Rome under the terms of the peace treaty signed after Magnesia. This massive sum placed a huge strain on the already depleted Seleucid treasury. Seleucus IV had to find ways to generate revenue without further burdening his people, who were already suffering from the effects of war and economic hardship. He needed to be creative in his approach to finance and diplomacy to navigate this challenging situation. Despite the immense challenges he faced, Seleucus IV was not content to simply react to events. He understood that the Seleucid Empire needed reforms to survive and prosper. He embarked on a series of initiatives aimed at restoring order, strengthening the economy, and consolidating his power. One of his key priorities was to improve relations with the Roman Republic. He understood that a strong and stable relationship with Rome was essential for the survival of his kingdom. He sent his son Demetrius to Rome as a hostage, a gesture of goodwill aimed at appeasing the Romans. To address the financial crisis, Seleucus IV attempted to streamline the administration of the empire and to reduce corruption. He also sought to promote trade and commerce, hoping to revive the empire's flagging economy. He encouraged the minting of new coins, hoping to stabilize the currency and restore confidence in the Seleucid economy. Seleucus IV's reforms, though well-intentioned, were perhaps too little, too late. The Seleucid Empire was in a state of advanced decline, and even the most capable ruler would have struggled to reverse its fortunes. In 175 BC, after just 12 years on the throne, Seleucus IV's reign came to a sudden and tragic end. He was murdered in a conspiracy orchestrated by his own minister Heliodorus. The exact motives behind the assassination remain shrouded in mystery, but it is likely that Heliodorus was driven by personal ambition and a desire to seize power for himself. The death of Seleucus IV threw the Seleucid Empire into chaos. Heliodorus attempted to install his own puppet ruler on the throne, but his plans were thwarted by the return of Antiochus IV Epiphanes, the younger brother of Seleucus IV, who claimed the throne for himself. The assassination of Seleucus IV marked a turning point in the history of the Seleucid Empire. It ushered in a period of instability and violence that would further weaken the dynasty and pave the way for its eventual demise. Seleucus the Philopator is a figure who often gets lost in the shadows of his more famous father and his ambitious successor. His reign, though relatively short, was a time of great importance in the history of the Seleucid Empire. He inherited a kingdom in crisis and tried his best to steer it through treacherous waters. He was a ruler caught between a powerful past and an uncertain future. He attempted to uphold the legacy of his ancestors while also adapting to the changing realities of the Hellenistic world. His efforts to reform the Seleucid state and to find a modus vivendi with Rome suggest a ruler with vision and pragmatism. Ultimately, Seleucus IV was a tragic figure, a king whose potential was cut short by treachery and violence. His legacy is a mixed one, a combination of missed opportunities and valiant, if ultimately unsuccessful, attempts to save his empire. His story serves as a reminder of the fragility of power and the enduring impact of even the briefest reigns on the course of history.